I don't understand why. Like the weirdest stuff happens in my house. That like all right. So first of all, the song that's currently on YouTube or whatever is happening in my house is something with bagpipes, and then all of a sudden I hear my sister scream, and now my mom's trying to like learn how to sing for my sister. So now I'm convinced that like now we're trying to go on like American Idol. On top of the fact that we had birds in the house and we had I can't I can't even tell you what's like the least weird thing that's happened in the last I don't know 2 weeks.
There was one time I played after it was after the Super Bowl, I believe. You went to bed, and me, your mom, Daryl, and your sister hung out, and me and your sister played Scrabble for like 3 hours before I went home. And I guess what the word I won on was.
I can only imagine what.
It was your mom's name, Judy.
Judy with an I, not a Y.
With an I, yeah.
Very, very.
That's what made it work because the last letter was already on the board. It was not. So I played just the Judd.
Just the Judd.
Yeah.
My family's so weird. I don't know how like we like survive and how people like deal with us. Anyways, I was telling KB this. The one thing I really want to do is I want to go to restaurants that have like photos like on the walls like everywhere, like Cracker Barrel. And I take like a black and white photo of like you and me, and just like put it on the Cracker Barrel wall and see if anybody notices it.
We can do that. The only problem is the nearest Cracker Barrel is like freaking 6 hours away minimum.
There's one in Milford, New Jersey, because I stopped there on the way up to Connecticut this past weekend.
Okay, that's not 3 hours away. I mean, 6 hours away.
That's like maybe an hour and a half if traffic is bad.
Really?
Yeah. No, 2 hours. Sounds about right.
Interesting.
Folks, we have nothing planned for this show, so at this point, we're just going to kind of just shoot the shit and tell stories. Welcome into the Get in the Hole podcast from our good friends over at Underground Sports. Thank you, KB, for showing us giving us all the good stuff. Let's get that banner up. Beautiful, amazing. Once again, welcome into the Get in the Hole podcast. Stephen McAvoy, John Mavallia here. And if you're just joining us, you missed a lot. Proud to be sponsored by our friends over at Tomahawk Shades, the premium eyewear batch brand in the industry. Use code USP for 25% off your next order. And of course, Binho Boards, the first board has come in to the underground headquarters located down in Vineland, New Jersey. KB has it. We're starting apparently a Binho Board League. Maybe they'll make like a Binho Golf. Who knows? That'll be sick. Get started there at binhoboard.com, BINHO, if you're looking for it. John, the Mexico Open happened this past week. As we totally get off on the tangent and finally focus on golf because we have to. It seemed almost inevitable. The field sucked ass. I talked to Max in your stead last week, and we came to the agreement this is probably the worst field that we've seen in years, in a very long time. It was John Rahm and then everybody else, and I'm pretty sure John Rahm was the only person to shoot in the 60s the entire week, all 4 rounds. What do we make of the inaugural Mexico Open? And do we expect that hopefully it might get some more attention in the future?
First of all, in my absence last week,
yes,
did you mention?
Please. But before we even get into the golf, I want to talk about your absence. What happened? Why were you away? What's the deal?
I actually don't remember. I don't remember. But in my absence, did you mention that I am the first person in show history to get 3 beer money picks correct in the order of top 5, best bet, and winner? 2 weeks ago.
No, I did not actually.
I did it with Billy Horschel and whoever the hell he played with on the 2-time for those dudes. and then whoever won that event, because I don't even remember who.
Cantley and Shawflet. Wow, you're really behind here, man. I hate to say this because we obviously love golf and we consume it and we utilize it like to our advantage as obviously golf podcast hosts. The last 2 weeks have just been snoozers on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the Zurich is cool and all because it's like team style, but it was, oh my god, it was brutally boring.
Yeah, I would have watched it, but I was very busy last weekend. I was busy this weekend again, so it's tough to watch a 4-day event, especially like if you don't have the Golf Channel and all
Yeah.
the stuff, and you're busy, and then the final round and the third round are only shown at specific times on CBS or whatever it is. Yeah, it's tough to watch golf, but I'm looking forward to this week. The Wells Fargo a little bit, and then definitely looking forward to the PGA Championship. It's going to be a beautiful stretch of golf coming up pretty soon, with a lot of majors, and I have my eyes on that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be. We're kind of getting back into the swing of things. We're not going to be at Quail Hollow this week. At the other side of about 10 minutes, we're going to get into everything about the Wells Fargo Championship playing this week at TPC Potomac, or Potomac, as John called it before I quickly let him know exactly how you say it.
Potomac. Like a atomic bomb?
Potomac, Maryland, right on the Potomac River, is where we will find TPC Potomac. Yes, you're right there?
Potomac.
Potomac.
Potomac bomb. KB's typing it out in our chat.
Potomac.
Come on, what's next, KB?
Actually,
he's not. He was just correcting it. Okay.
Well,
he said Potomac.
No, it's Well, actually, it's more like Mick at the end, not Mac. We're just reading off the PMs. Potomac. Final answer. It's more like, hold on. I'm gonna literally talk to you in chat here. Potomac. Whatever it is, it's TPC Potomac. That'll be the home of the Wells Fargo Championship. It used to be locationed out over at Quail Hollow at the club down in North Carolina. But we're going up to Maryland. Not very often we actually get to Maryland. Last time we were there was, of course, the BMW Championship played in Maryland. But you don't really see a lot of events any north of the Mason-Dixon line. This is one of the few that you will get this year. Of course, the Travelers Championship is one of the few Northeastern region events, and then the U.S. Open, which as of late has gone to a few Northeastern locations. Last year was in Torrey Pines, but the year prior Winged Foot, and then now this year the Country Club in Boston, in Brookline,
it's
Massachusetts. Potomac. We're literally from an area of the country that, like every other town, is a Indian reservation name. So the fact that we can't get this right is ridiculous.
That's true. That's a good point.
I'm gonna roll with Potomac because
I have it here.
Oh God. Yes.
Potomac.
No, it's Potomac.
Bro, the woman on Google just said so.
That doesn't mean that she's right, and bad on you
Potomac.
for assuming her gender, first of all.
Potomac.
John,
I hate you. Anyways, before we get into the stuff on the other side, of course, we're gonna take a break at some point. There is some recent news out of the PGA, and John, I'm not sure if you were aware of this. Obviously, you were working today over at the golf course, so may have not had a chance to look into the news here. But Greg Norman went on blast today, calling out Phil Mickelson. So apparently, the Saudi Golf League, of course, when are we not talking about this shit? The Saudi Golf League was allegedly supposed to begin. They had planned to kick off the Tuesday and Wednesday of the Genesis back in March, or possibly even February. Prior to that, they were ready to get everything going. The second week of February, as you remember, around Valentine's Day, Phil Mickelson came out, made his comments about the Saudi Golf League and all these different things, trying to quote unquote gain leverage for the PGA Tour. But then, of course, shortly after, pros like John Rahm, DeChambeau, and Dustin Johnson all pledged themselves to the PGA Tour, while Jay Monahan basically levied and said, if you do wind up going to this tour, we will, in fact, ban you for life. Greg Norman came out today and made some pretty hefty comments. He said that at the time of Phil's comments, he had at least 30% of the top 50 players in the world committed to play in their new league, according to ESPN writer Mark Schlabach. He said, end quote, "There's no question Phil's comments hurt. It hurt a lot of aspects. It hurt the PGA Tour, it hurt us, it hurt the game of golf, and it hurt Phil. So yeah, across all fronts. It was just specific. It wasn't just specifically to us, but it definitely created negative momentum against us. Following that, many pros apparently bounced out. This is all, of course, following the comments by Phil of talking about how the Saudi government has killed journalists. They've done all these human rights issues, and yet why would I still not want to go to that with these large sums of money?" Norman goes on to proceed saying this: "Quite honestly, we were ready to launch the Tuesday or Wednesday of Genesis. We had enough players in our strength of field or minimal viable product ready to come on board. And when all that happened, everyone got the jitters, and the PGA Tour threatened people with lifetime bans and stuff like that. To this day, we still have players under contract and signed. The ones who wanted to get out because of the pressures of the PGA Tour gave back their money and got out. Guys had money in their pockets." Probably referring to some of those guys in the top 100 who are trying to get into that future event, like Bubba Watson, Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, and the bunch. Who knows? Very well could have had a lot of money. But what do you make of the comments from Greg Norman, basically putting Phil out on blast? Finally, he did say, though, that Phil would be welcomed back with open arms if he does so choose to come back to the tour. But who knows? Was also saying come back to the tour might actually mean that Phil was going to go in the first place. But what are your comments?
This is a very complex issue, and let's get one thing straight. Phil didn't say anything that wasn't true. Everything he said was true, and both sides have a problem with it, and it's very, very strange. All he did was speak something that was true. Gave his point of view, the reasoning for his decision, but the reasoning for his decision was true. Of everything about the human rights violations and so on and so forth. But my issue is, why does it have to be brought? Why does that have to be brought to light by Phil Mickelson for people to begin to back out or have second thoughts? Yeah. Like, that's something that you already knew. It's just strange to me. Like, you already knew that this stuff was true, and now Phil says it, and it comes to light of the public, even though you and I already knew what was going on. Now the general public has a better idea because it's Phil Mickelson, and it's an article published on golf.com or wherever it was. But it's just a little bit two-faced to me, for not only those players, but anyone involved who's switching sides or debating between the PGA Tour and the Saudi Golf League. I just don't see why that happened. Like, if you truly believe in the product that you are choosing, then you should have no problem looking past all of the issues that are whether it's at the forefront or not. That they're there. Exactly. You know what I mean? So just because the public now knows about it doesn't mean that you should get a free pass for backing out. You know what I mean? That's what my biggest issue is.
Well, let's be honest. The reason why this sprung up, and I think this is a larger than golf issue. The reason why it all sprung up, obviously, was because it's Phil Mickelson. It's the biggest name in golf that isn't Tiger Woods. So naturally, when someone like that with such brevity says something, people are going to listen to it and obviously take more of a word for it. Where like, if Harold Varner said this and people were like, all right, like, maybe, yeah, cool. But I think this kind of speaks to the, I don't want to say like recency bias, but it's very clear that in America or across the world, I see it a lot with people back home and everything. I like recency bias, not even in like world issues, but like just like take sports, for example. In sports, our group chat was talking about A-Rod recently. Alex Rodriguez. Of course, he was a ashamed athlete after he had got picked up for the biogenesis scandal. but he's managed to turn his career around to like a full 180, and now he's like loved by the media, and he's on MLB Network and Fox and the playoffs, and people listen to him, and now he's like partial owner of the Timberwolves, and like he's a respected name in terms of like media and sports. But then you look back and you're like, all right, but this guy like cheated, like he took steroids. You look at, say, Jameis Winston, who not to get political and personal, but he had multiple allegations of sexual assault in college, and no one really remembers that. It was sort of swept under the rug. He was taken first overall, and he went on to go play for the Bucs and now Steelers and Saints. No one really has kind of hinted on it. Domestic violence issues happen in sports all the time, but recency bias. Kareem Hunt has had 2 great seasons in the NFL. He also punted his girlfriend into a wall. Like, at the end of the day, what do we remember and what do we choose to forget? I think that had it not been Phil Mickelson and had it not been this man of such a high stature in the game of golf, that we would literally be having a totally different conversation. Because would anybody really care? Would anybody really be looking into the idea that the Saudis do have human rights violations in their reputation and their credibility? I think it's because Phil said it is really why it's gotten all this steam and why it's changed so much. You think Greg Norman really cares? You think he's even looked into it? If you were a casual human being and you didn't like think about anything, you knew nothing about the Saudi Arabians, you didn't know about what was happening in golf, would you have known that the Saudis were doing this? Chances are, maybe not. Maybe if you're a more educated person, then yeah, you probably would have. But at the end of the day, I think like recency bias and like even like personal ignorance has played a big role in all of this. And the reason why it's Phil is because it's gained so much steam, and as a result, I mean, it's kind of ruined his reputation in the golf world. That's why he's been off for the last 3 months, and it's why now every single week it's like we have a new breaking story about him that he filed for this event. He still is gone for 3 months. Where is he going to be? I'm going off on like a soliloquy here, but at the end of the day, it's the fact of the matter is it's Phil Mickelson, it's Greg Norman, it's this new breakaway Saudi golf league that we've seen super leagues happen before. KB and I were talking about it. The only one that like really quote unquote was a successful super league was the PLL, which even then really wasn't that because the MLL in lacrosse was already folding to begin with. They were on their last life. The PGA is very strong off, as was like FIFA when the Super League was a thing. That folded very quickly. I think the Saudi Golf League as well is it's a breakaway league that is not necessarily promoting a super league, but rather a different type of competition to get involved in because of the different styles, lesser events, smaller fields, larger purses, and then like smaller tournaments overall in terms of like holage and yardage. It's a very different offshoot league, but the big reason why it's gaining all this traction is because of Phil Mickelson.
Holage?
I mean, what, like holes per round? Like, what's the word I'm looking for there? Holage.
I don't know. It was just a funny word. I feel like it's a dirty word.
Holage.
Yeah, it's a dirty word. The last thing I'll say about this is I don't think that, like, I get what Greg Norman is saying. I do, but you can't really have a problem with someone who's speaking factual statements and giving their reasoning for their decision. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
you can't have a problem with it. You signed on to it to then you knew the baggage was there and you decided to be on board with it. And then that's his decision. You have to live with that. Although I do believe people definitely overreacted to what Phil said. Like I do think it definitely wasn't a great look, but like the general public for sure overreacted. And I think the media played a large part in that, just pushing out a story.
Of course.
It definitely was a big deal, but I do think it was blown a little bit out of proportion, slightly.
And final point before the break here, going back to the actual question itself of like, why didn't Greg Norman actually like start up this league despite what Phil said? I mean, again, if you believe in the product, then just launch it. You might as well. At this point, you're sort of just quelling yourself and you're quelling the opportunity to actually grow. And he gave himself another 2 months because obviously everyone backed out. But if guys were already locked in and you're like, oh, well, we're going to launch this week, then you should have made it very clear that it was going to happen and not had backed out at the last minute because Phil Mickelson wanted beef. If anything, it's they always say any sort of publicity is good publicity. So at the end of the day, I guess no matter what, Greg Norman's making headlines. We're talking about it. We've been talking about it. So Saudi Golf League is at least doing something for themselves. We're going to take a short break here. On the other side, we're going to break down the Mexico Championship, how that went through, and we're going to give you a preview of the Wells Fargo Championship in Potomac, Maryland. Don't go anywhere. You're watching what?
Potomac.
I can't even say it anymore. You're watching and listening, getting the whole on Underground Sports Philadelphia. God, John. It is sometimes so difficult to pay attention with like the things you say, like out of pocket, just like randomly. I was just you totally phased me on that one. Back to get the whole podcast. Stephen McAvoy and John Mavallia back in after a week hiatus, which he still does not remember why he chose to stat out last week.
Actually, yeah, if I had to give it a thought because I don't remember why.
Gotta be honest with you, man. You really didn't miss much because the Mexico Championship was just it was just bad. So of course, as we said, really fast recap because we don't have to butcher the point here. It was John Rahm versus the world. Of course, Rahm comes out on top. The first ever time that this tournament has taken place. I had some money on a few names. Cameron Champ was one who me and Max both took to win this week. He had a mud ball on 9, which basically derailed his entire round. He lost by 2 strokes. Very well could have won. Sorry, 3 strokes. Could have tied and forced a playoff against Rahm, but sorry about that. C'est la vie. John Rahm wins. Really interesting article, and this is really the only thing we'll talk more about the Mexico week. Interesting article from Mark Schlabach as well. Said that it's Scotty Scheffler's world, but is John Rahm ready to get back to the number 1 spot in the world? What do you think of that headline initially?
I like it. It's actually a really, really good and appropriate headline, and it intrigues me personally because I kind of, or as golf fans in general, we all look at the top, and you want to see who's that guy right now, who's that guy, who's that dude, who's that MF, you know what I'm saying? Who's that guy? Who is he? And right now it's Scotty Scheffler. But for all of last year it was John Rahm, so it's an appropriate headline given that Rahm, he looked good this week, and I think he's a player who can really build off of a big win like this. I don't care who's in the field. He shot, what was it, 18 under par, 17 under par? I forget. 17. Yeah, that's good no matter how you chop it up. He was playing well, kind of getting his mojo back, kind of also having fun. It looked like he was having fun while he played. And I think that's good. Give him a new perspective on the game heading into a stretch of majors that's going to be really, really important in determining who that guy or who those few guys at the top are. So I love that headline.
So John Rahm did wind up jumping. Colin Morikawa to the number 2 spot in the world. He will stick around at number 2, just behind Scotty Scheffler. As someone's trying to invade my space during a show. Here comes Judy. Oh God,
Judy!
Did you know that
Hey,
John
Judy.
won Scrabble because of your name?
Why?
He won because of your name.
Why my name?
She was there.
Because what?
Oh, you were there.
I was there. Okay, just so we know, we have a licensed driver in the family.
Oh my God, Dylan got his license?
Yep.
Oh God.
Yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen, my little brother's gotten his license and we are all going to die. Watch out, kids.
Bring Dylan in. I told him I would give him a basketball lesson. Bring him in.
He's probably asleep right now.
I'm going to tell him to drive out here on one of my days off, and I'll give him a lesson.
This is going to be one of the most Dylan McAvoy.
He's got to give me $5 though.
Dude, I'm pretty sure he failed it like 3 times. So this is his like 4th attempt. So we'll see how we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna have to wind up letting him drive at some point. I'm probably gonna get I may have an aneurysm in the passenger seat. Who knows?
Long Island as a whole is in a significant amount of danger, way more than it was yesterday. as opposed to now with Bill and McAvoy getting his driver's license.
way more than it was 5 minutes ago. Like,
oh, he just got it.
Yeah, like now we're in like actual like imminent danger at this point.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good thing.
So, anyways, so speaking of being in imminent danger, John Rahm, the number 2 player in the world, obviously got the win here in Mexico. Now we're gonna enter the stretch into the PGA Championship. He looks to possibly be rounding into form. He led the week in strokes gained approach, strokes gained ball striking, and of course strokes gained putting, which got him to the win. Impressive, yes or no? Being that he was in a very weak field, maybe, but it's still a good sign for someone who hasn't really played his best golf in the last 3 or 4 weeks. He gets his first win since the U.S. Open, and his son Kepa was wearing these like dope ass Jordans. He looked absolutely sick. It was a good look. Also noticed his wife's pregnant again, so we'll be seeing a Rambo number 3. Well, sorry, Rambo number 2, like little Ram, coming up soon, but. Enough with Mexico. I want to get past it. I want to forget about it forever and ever and ever. We got to talk all things the Wells Fargo Championship in Potomac, Maryland, John. TPC Potomac. Let's see quickly what do we got here, what we're working with. Give me some golf course knowledge and ring it all in for us before we get into some fun betting picks and talking about the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure thing, brother. So it's going to be a par 70 golf course, meaning that there are only two par 5s. It's going to be roughly 7,100 yards. So it's going to be, I would say that might be, what's that? Yeah, but I would say that might be a little long for a par 70 course. So maybe pretty average for those guys. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's nothing like it was like we saw last week in Mexico. In Mexico, we just saw guys bombing it. The strategy here is just put the ball in the fairway. Not really going to need a crazy drive off the tee or anything like that. Really simple. Just put the ball in the fairway. You don't want to mess with any of the rough or anything like that. You don't want to bring any of the extra stuff you have to worry about at a course like this by kind of just sending it off the tee. And it definitely is a second shot course. Iron play is at a premium, especially with the high number of par 3s that we're going to see. Iron play is definitely the most important thing this weekend. Precision from the fairway and precision on the par 3s is of the utmost importance this weekend for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 keys here this week. Of course, I give you my keys every single week, basically following up on what John said. Number 1, John, what could it possibly be?
Strokes gained approach.
Yeah, at the 2017 and 2018 Quicken Loans National, which was the home at TPC Potomac.
Potomac.
Yeah, the last time this golf course played host. The eventual winners ranked 4th and 1st in the field in strokes gained approach, and both gained at least 6 strokes on the field in that category. Again, fairways are narrower here than the average tour setup, so players will be working their way into lengthy iron shots. Datagolf.com, a really good note for anyone trying to get some good numbers here. 54.9% of all approaches in the 2018 Quicken Loans National came from between 150 and 225 yards, with 23% coming further between 175 and 200. So, not only is strokes gained approach very important, but also good drives gained and strokes gained ball striking within a certain parameter. Largely a second shot golf course. One of the more underrated TPCs on the map. Of course, you have the ones that you all know: Scottsdale, Sawgrass, River Highlands, and the like. Of course, Deer Run. Also, there's a ton on tour, but TPC Potomac is one of the more underrated ones in terms of. Yeah, you're right. It is a little short by the number on paper, but it actually is pretty long, considering the actual lengthiness of the 70 strokes that it takes to get through par here. So again, strokes gained approach, good drives gained, accuracy will be important. Strokes gained ball striking within 200 yards, and in strokes gained on par 4s. Par 4s are the majority of this golf course. It's a huge deal here, but the biggest thing though is bogey avoidance. Much like the idea of like good drives gained, 7 under was the winning score back in 2017. The 2 playoff participants nearly avoided 6 bogeys that week, which was second best in the field and the 6th most on tour that season. In 2018, Francisco Molinari, who won here, avoided 9 bogeys, which was the most amongst any player in the field in any PGA event the entire year. That includes Augusta. That includes some really challenging courses, including Bethpage Black by us. So bogey avoidance here is going to be absolutely huge. It'll be a clutch statistic that I need someone here to really thrive in order to figure things out. John, do you want to take a look at the field here, or do you want to hop right into some picks?
Definitely the field, because that's going to determine who I pick.
Perfect. All right. So the field this week, we're actually kind of getting back to that somewhat normality in terms of what the field is going to look like. Let me pull it up right here to give some good names that we'll be looking at this week, because I do a horrible job at my journalism skill set by not having it already prepped and ready to go. So what we're looking at here this week from the field. Oh my God, where am I missing this? I'm like pulling up the wrong stuff. Okay, so this week, Rory Mcilroy will in fact be back in the field. He'll be trying to defend his title defense. Of course, he won though at Quail Hollow. Keegan Bradley, Sergio Garcia are some other big time names in the field this week. In terms of the actual odds board itself, leading the charge right now is if you have it, please rattle it off though.
I will check. My best guess is that it's Rory though.
Yeah, because for some reason I cannot find it anywhere, and no website wants to actually give me it, which is really annoying considering I was looking forward to figuring it out.
It's Rory, and the next closest is Corey Connors, and the difference between them is plus 750 for Rory and plus 1900 for Corey Connors. Sorry, I was definitely very far away from the mic there, but yeah, that's a sizable difference, well over plus 1,000.
Well, certainly not as sizable as this past week, but again, Rory McIlroy comes into this one first event following his Masters action, where a wild final round of 63 tied the course record there. Hold on. KB may have the whole field for us in the private chat here. Ooh, this is perfect. My boy KB coming in big time clutch with this one. So let's take a look-sees at some of the names that will look a little further down. See, maybe we could pick out some guys who are hot and who's not, maybe if we get lucky enough. But yeah, Rory McIlroy, 4th round at Augusta. This is his first time back. Since that round, of course, had the amazing chip out of the bunker at 18 with Colin Morikawa. What should we expect from a guy like Rory this week after seeing what he did at Augusta?
I don't know. Rory's like not mincing any words. Rory's definitely the toughest player on tour to predict. Like the outcome of his finish. Like without question, I wouldn't think twice about it. I think if I had to put my best guess for him this week, I would think he comes somewhere close to the top, but I don't know. I'd like to look at the numbers behind like how well he does when he's the number 1 top betting favorite. Because I would assume that it's not fantastic, but I'd like to see how he does round 1, and I think that'll definitely set the tone. If he has a good round 1, I think he makes a good run at the title, and if not, I could see him coming back. We've seen Rory come back a lot, but yeah, definitely looking at the round 1, and then round 2 would be I would be definitely looking for a live bet. That would be it. But that's about as far as I would go with Rory.
So actually, listen to this. So Rory McIlroy has won the Wells Fargo 3 times. This year will not be defending it at Quail Hollow again because they'll be hosting the President's Cup this fall. They will not be having it here because obviously players want to have a fresh course. But listen to this. Over the last 5 years, when Rory McIlroy has led the field in odds, he has finished no better than 11th. So certainly something to think about for a possible outside of the top 10 finish for Rory Mcilroy if you're really kind of looking for it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Someone,
did you just find that? Because it's so creepy that I just said that and you had the exact stat.
yeah, I actually Googled it and there was through a golf.com article.
Okay,
So
I was going to say, okay. That would have been my guess because he doesn't usually, like, I believe, could be wrong, I believe a year ago at the Wells Fargo, I believe he was the betting favorite. If not, he was top 2.
Yeah, I believe he was second.
He might, that's what I was thinking of. But other than that, I couldn't think of another time where he was, and he pulled through.
Yeah, no, it's been seldom since the mid 2000s that we've seen Rory McIlroy the betting favorite. I know he was for last year's PGA Championship, and he did not finish very close to the mark. So we'll see. We'll see what's to come for Rory, but some other big time names in the field this week. Max Homa comes back, his first event since Augusta. For a lot of these guys, actually, their first event since Augusta National. Webb Simpson will be in the field this week. Of course, Sergio, Keegan Bradley, Matt Fitzpatrick will be in as well. Tony Finau following up last week at Mexico. He will now be in the field as well. He finished, I believe, top 20 this past week. Tyrrell Hatton's back in the field. So a mid-level field, I guess you could say, not necessarily like the all-star studs. There's nobody aside from Rory in the world top 10 who will be playing this week. But still, something to look forward to. Of course, our big man, Kiradech Afi Barnrat, coming off a fresh top 30 finish. He'll be in the field this week. Waiting for a time that I can confidently pick him again for an event. Don't know when that'll ever happen. But we'll see.
Yeah.
John, let's do some prop bets.
Oh, okay.
Or you know what? Let's take a short break. Actually, then we'll.
Yeah. Let's. No, you know, you're right. Let's do that, and then we'll do the prop bets. Does that sound good with you? Are you okay?
We're taking a break. When we come back,
are you okay with that? Though?
We're doing beer money. Of course, I'm totally fine with that. Let's go. Again, it wasn't a very well-scheduled show considering we've been dealing with a snoozer from Mexico. But you know what? We managed to pull through. We're about 35 minutes in to this one here on the Getting the Whole podcast. Steve McAvoy and John Mavallia here as per usual. We have some prop bets to give out now, courtesy of our friends over at Pickup. Pickup, play the headline, sign up with your phone, and get betting today. John, some pretty interesting ones this week. We're gonna do some groupings. A lot of these you can find on most sports books. You will be able to bet on these on Pickup as well. So let's start off with some group betting. We have a few groups of interest this week that we'll go off of, and give me your idea in these four-man pods. We're going to start here with Russell Henley at plus 200, Sergio at plus 260, Homa plus 270, and Matt Jones plus 300. Who will finish top in the quad, whatever you want to call it, bunching this week between Henley, Garcia, Homa, and Jones?
It's tough because I would, if I had to, I would completely stay away from it because Homa's kind of a dark horse, and then I don't love Sergio, but he fits the mold for this course very, 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 very well. If I had to, I would go with Henley though.
I totally agree. Henley very well might be making a small appearance in my prop bets, and I think my beer money picks, and I think you'll understand why. And I'm almost positive he'll show up in yours as well. We'll head down here. This is a group that I find really interesting because a lot of guys who at some point or another in the last 5-6 years have been close, if not the world number one. Paul Casey at plus 230, Patrick Reed at plus 240, tied with Keegan Bradley as well, and Jason Day at plus 290. Anybody in this group stand out?
Could you read those names off again?
Paul Casey, Patrick Reed, Keegan Bradley, and Jason Day.
I would also stay away from that one, but if I had to,
gun to your head.
Paul Casey doesn't show up at these kind of events, though. That's my thing. I would want to pick him, but I would have to go with Reed. I would go with Jason Day just because he's. We've seen, recently we've seen him playing much, much better, even though his performances are very fickle. That's tough, dude, because Reed hasn't been playing his best golf. So I would take I would take a question mark in Jason Day as opposed to where I know Reed isn't playing well, and I would hope for him to play well, or Paul Casey. Just like I said, I highly doubt he's going to show up for an event like this. I do love Paul Casey though, so don't get me wrong.
Two more groups, and then a weak prop here. Tyrrell Hatton, Abraham Answer, Mark Leishman, and Gary Woodland. A very interesting eclectic group. A lot of on and off golf play in the last few weeks between the four of them.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with Gary Woodland. How did he do last week?
I will tell you right now. Actually, I know he was up there in terms of the.
He was like one of the
He finished T24.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of sharp bettors were on him last weekend.
Sorry. 9 under. Sorry. 9 under T24.
I'll go with Gary Woodland.
Gary Woodland currently
definitely don't. No reasoning or analysis behind that. So
Woodland currently actually the lowest odds at plus 280. I'm gonna go with Mark Leishman on this one. Leishman hasn't played very much this year, aside from the Zurich and a few events prior. But he seemed to figure things out. The granted, the Zurich is a course where he sort of always figures his game out and then goes on good runs. I think that this will be a good run for Leishman to figure things out and get the ball rolling. Final group here. It's the A-list group. It's the group that everyone's going to be following. Basically, it's the top four guys on the odds board. McIlroy plus 120, Finau plus 330, and then tied up at plus 340, Fitzpatrick and Corey Connors.
I will go with Corey Connors. I think it's pretty obvious why. Driving accuracy, check. And strokes gained approach, check. Birdies, check. I like Corey Connors in this game for this course.
Final one to think about, and I think this is a. I think we're allowed to debate this because it's interesting. So Rory has won this event in 2010. He won the event in 2015, and he won the event in 2021. So basically, every 5 years, almost, he wins this event. And I'm going to kind of count every 5 years because 2020 there was no event due to COVID. I'm not going to say Rory versus the field this week because at that point it's kind of just like, all right, like is it Rory's to lose? But with the stat that we do have, what do you think, Rory McIlroy top 5 finish, yay or nay?
Nah, I will go with nay. It's a lot more room for error for sure, I think, than people would be expecting for a betting favorite. So yeah, especially given the stat you just told me, where he this is a course that he may be the defending champion, but it's not a course that he won at last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And given the history that he doesn't perform well when he is the betting favorite, not even coming in the top 10, let alone the top 5, I will go outside of the top 5 for sure.
Totally agree with you there. I think he might land somewhere in that like top 10 area, maybe. But this course just doesn't necessarily fit what we're looking for in a guy like him. We're on to our beer money plays, our final little bet here before we get our way out of here. Short show, but again, it was a bit of a snoozer thanks to Mexico. We had a lot of different run-ins here, but sponsored by our friends over at Kenwood Beer. It's time for some beer money. Kenwood Beer, Philadelphia's favorite light lager. It's better than Bud Light. It's better than Budweiser, and it's better than anything else you could possibly drink. Kenwood Beer. Let's grab a Kenny, strap in, and let's get going with our beer money plays. John, lead it off here. Top 20.
With my top 20, I'm going to go with Seamus Power. Top 20 machine. I've said that many times on the show. Yeah, dude, it's just the iron play for me is what's going to do it. Greens and regulation. This guy is just he's going to be pumping them out all weekend long. That's a recipe for success at Potomac. So I'll take Seamus Power for a top 20.
Top 20 this week for me. I'm going to actually go with Mark Leishman here. Again, has showed me some promise at the Zurich, has played relatively well prior. It always seems like it's around this time of the year that he always starts to kind of figure things out. and he comes in with force. So I'm going to roll with Leishman here for a top 20 this week. John, how about your top 10?
My top 10, and that's where I'm going to be playing Russell Henley this weekend. I was considering Mark Leishman here as well, but yeah, I'm going to go with Russell Henley. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Like I forget which event it was, but it was another event where strokes gained approach was like not the only thing that mattered, but like the biggest thing. And I forget which event it was. It wasn't too long ago. It was in the last month and a half, 2 months. And he's still first in strokes gained approach like he was a month and a half ago. And given that, it's kind of hard to pass up for top 10 for a guy with iron play like that.
Top 10 this week. I wanted to put Leishman here actually, but I sort of
I did think about Leishman at this spot as well.
My top 10 is somebody who has had a lot of very recent success at this golf course particularly, but not whatsoever on the PGA Tour. And I think the idea here, being that no one's played here since 2018, horses for courses, you want to focus in on guys who do have a good history here and have been able to play well in the past. So I'm going to roll with Ricky Fowler. And it's a out there pick because he's been so horrifically bad. But hear me out. At TPC Potomac, this is what he's been able to put up as of recent. He finished 3rd in 2017. He finished 12th in 2018. He did play one event here that was not a PGA event, played like an exhibition event, and won here in 2019. So he does have experience, played here each of the last 3 years prior to COVID happening. Course hasn't changed very much. Granted, he only shot 5 under and 8 under in 2017 and 18 in those official events, but this golf course does not yield very high results. So I think Ricky Fowler here is a pretty safe bet. Also, is one of the best players in the field this week. Ironically, in one of the categories like you would like not expect him to even be in, which is bogey avoidance, which is kind of crazy because he's 5th in the field in bogey avoidance over his last 36 rounds, which seems like poppycock considering how bad he's been. Also, he's 5th in the field this week in strokes gained par 4s. So it's certainly something that I'll be looking at this week. He has very good ball striking regardless of his recent form. But I'll go Ricky here for top 10. How about top 5, John?
I was originally going to go with Corey Connors for my top 5. But instead, I'm going to take a different approach and go with Abraham Answer. The reasoning behind that is I do love Abraham Answer. The second thing, which is a little bit more tangible, is in 2018 he did come 4th in not this event, but at this particular course when the whatever the hell it was called, I forget, was being played here.
National?
The what?
The Quicken Loans National.
Quicken Loans, yeah, whatever the hell it was called. That bullshit. When he was what?
It's the Q.
Yeah, the Q. Are they even a company anymore?
I think they still are.
I haven't heard from Quicken Loans in a hot second. So maybe they're bankrupt, maybe they're not. If they need a CEO, I will step in.
I think it's because
that's another thing about this week. This is the PGA Tour Corruption Championship. That's what this is. That's what this week is. There's a lot on the line. A whole lot on the line. A whole lot on the line.
Yeah, of course. One of the big business school topics that John and I probably heard way too many times was the Wells Fargo fake bank account scandal. But don't have to delve into that one.
Yep. But yeah, I guess no one has a problem with that. None of the PGA Tour players, they all got a problem with Saudi Arabia, but they don't got a problem with that.
I'm pretty sure Quicken Loans is still a company, but I think it's Invesco QQQ is taken away. They're
is that what it is now?
Oh, all right. They're now a subsidiary of Rocket Mortgage. All right, so Rocket Mortgage actually has their own event, obviously, of course.
So there's 2 corruption cups then. There's 2 of them.
Well, Rocket Mortgage isn't corrupt, is it?
Well, now that they're in cahoots with Quicken Loans, yes.
How is Quicken Loans corrupt?
You just said that they're now under Rocket Mortgage, or they're owned by them, or what was the word you used?
Quicken Loans is a subsidiary of Rocket Mortgage, but how are they corrupt?
because they have ties to Wells Fargo.
No, the Quicken Loans National was a separate event.
I'm well aware.
I'm so confused.
Oops,
Sorry, actually, Rocket Mortgage is a subsidiary of Quicken Loans. Sorry, thank you,
so
KB, for,
even more corrupt.
the correction. All right, fine. You know what? Then in that case, then we're all messing it up. Sorry, who did you say top 5?
Abraham Answer.
Abraham Answer. All right,
win
thank
the
you.
Corruption Cup, or to come top 5 in the Corruption Cup, because he came 4th at this course in 2018, and he did just have I think a 40 tied for 42nd finish in this past week in his home country and everything. But given that, I could have seen maybe a little bit of extra pressure playing in that event or whatever. The other thing I really like about Abraham Answer is that he bounces back. That's a guy who bounces back. He doesn't really fall into like slumps or anything like that. And after a mediocre week, you can expect some good golf out of him, because he kind of just needs to go with the flow. When he plays, when he's locked in, he's locked in. And when he's not, he usually gets a nice bounce back week. And he's one of those players you can maybe try and predict. A little, still hard to. But yeah, I like Abraham Answer this week. He fits the course really, really, really well. Yeah, Abraham Answer top 5.
Little fun fact: Abe has had some pretty good finishes here in years past. I believe in 2017, finished. Where was he here? Or 2016 he finished top 5 here. So pretty good pedigree for Abe. Also tied for 4th in 2018. Top 5 for me. I'm going with Webb Simpson. Have not heard his name in a while. I'm going to throw him back in the beer money picks for the first time since the Wyndham. Little fun fact here: he's 3rd in the field this week in strokes gained approach. He is 4th in the field in good drives gained. He is 1st in the field in strokes gained on par 4s. He's 3rd in the field in bogey avoidance. And he is in one more side, I believe. No, that's it. Basically fits all of the criteria that I'm looking for this week. So Webb is a perfect top 5 for me. Might also sprinkle some money in for an outright at plus 4,000. Who knows? This is certainly a course that fits his game to a T. It's very much like Wyndham over at Sedgefield in North Carolina. Also similar terrain, similar ground, similar weather pattern. So this is a pretty solid course for Webb. I'm going to go with Webb. Give me your best bet, Johnny boy.
Oh, best bet is before the winner. That's right. I forgot. So I'm between.
We've been doing the show for almost a year.
Almost a year. But I am between 4 different plays here. It's Abraham Answer for a top 30. It's Seamus Power for a top 30. Russell Henley for a top 30. Or Corey Connors for a top 30. Or even no, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I would do those 4. I was considering Leishman as well, but I'm just going to narrow it down to 4 picks. So if you're listening and you want to play all 4 of those and make some money, I do believe that's a great strategy for something that's not formatted in the top 20, top 10, top 5 format that we have. But if I had to pick one of those, I would probably go with Corey Connors. Would be the one. If you look at his last few starts, he's playing with some confidence, and that's what Corey Connors needs in order to put together good finishes. So I like Corey Connors. Maybe even to win this event, because he's one of those guys, all or nothing kind of guys, and clearly he's on a roll right now. So if you want to ride that, definitely look into it. But yeah, all 4 of those guys, I could see him coming top 30 for sure. Very
crazy how so many of these guys are plus money for a top 30. It's like
that's the other thing I was going to mention, Steve. Thank you so much. Like every single one of those plays is plus money. I believe the lowest is plus 120, and I will double check that right now.
Right.
Actually, Corey Connors is minus 120. Excuse me, but all the others are plus 120, plus 130, plus 125.
Honestly, bro, like my plays this week might just be a bunch of guys for a top 30.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of doing right now.
I can give you just because it's showing up on my account, a 7-leg parlay between Bradley, Power, Leishman, Henley, Casey Simpson, and Russell Knox, all to finish top 30. Payouts for $10 is $4,300.
Jeez.
Probably wouldn't take that, but like I'd sprinkle $1 on to get like $400 out of it. Who knows? That's a solid play. I'm going to join you actually, and I'm going to give you a trio of guys for a top 30, and it's going to be specifically Henley, Simpson, and Keegan Bradley. These three guys are just so good on this golf course, and they fit the course to a T that there's no way you can't take them at that plus money. Gun to my head, give you one pick. It's going to be Henley for a top 20 or top 30. You can actually legitimately take Henley in every single spot. And I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it now because I'm already on a roll. My winner this week is Russell Henley. He is just like running down the stats here. He's first in the field in strokes gained approach by a lot, by almost 4 strokes. He is second in the field in good drives gained by about 2 strokes. He's number 2 in the field in strokes gained on par 4s by about 5 strokes over Rory Mcilroy. He's first in the field in bogey avoidance by almost 7 strokes among the next guy, who's Matt Kuchar. And he is second in the field in strokes gained par 4s at about 3 more strokes. And he's fourth in the field in strokes gained par 3s. The guy's basically he's a ball striker's like worst nightmare. He's so good at ball striking and his approach shots. His putting really hasn't been great, but then again, this golf course has not yielded very high results in recent years. So I'm kind of looking past that, and I think Russell Henley is a terrific play here to win this week at plus 3,400.
Yeah, I like it too, and I like it so much that it's also my winning play for the weekend. But I was strongly considering, or I shouldn't say strongly, but I was considering Corey Connors here.
The odds just aren't as juicy as
that was part of it. That was part of it. And I know I doubled up 2 weeks ago and on the Horschel and whoever the hell he played with the group. Sam Burns, and it paid off for me. But yeah, it didn't feel right doing it again. I don't think it was a smart play. The other player who I was potentially debating on for a winning pick was Abraham Answer, and I took him for my top 5, and I definitely didn't want to double up with that. That wouldn't be smart. Yeah, so it's Henley for me. You laid it out really, really well. I couldn't have said it any better myself. But yeah, for me, it's just he fits the course very, very well. He's an accurate driver, and he puts it on the green as close as possible. He hits his spots, proximity to the hole. It's everything you're looking for a player to capture the Corruption Cup this weekend.
Absolutely. John, time flies when you're having fun. We've managed to take what we thought would be like a half-hour show and turn it into 58 minutes. Granted, there were some fun rants and some random things along the way, but most certainly a great ride. Let's hope next week's a little bit better. Let's hope we don't get a snooze fest at TBC Potomac. And next few weeks, man, the AT&T Byron Nelson, which will be a fun one down in Texas. Maybe a little road trip for you and I. Who knows? Maybe go down, take a flight, go hang out with some folks down in Dallas, maybe.
That'd be fun. You can think about it.
But yeah, so the AT&T Byron Nelson next week, and then of course Southern Hills, the PGA Championship is only 2 weeks away. What's crazy is that this will be the year anniversary of our show.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of crazy to think about. What are you looking at?
Nothing.
You're gazing off into the blue.
Nothing.
Well, folks, that's going to do it all for us here at Get in the Hole. I'm Stephen McAvoy. He's John Mavallia, KB in the background doing his thing. Shout out to him. And our whole crew behind the scenes, Brittany Wilbur as well. She's been on fire with some content recently. Again, man, the PGA Championship is right around the corner. We have major season. It's coming in hot. The Bino Boards League is starting up soon. We have a lot of really great stuff going on. Hopefully some more blogs and content to be made. But for now, enjoy the golf. Enjoy the Corruption Cup over at the Wells Fargo. And we will see you next